Hi, I'm Cheryl. This time we'll be making this really bright and cheery birthday card. And I've decorated the inside with some balloons. And I have a funny feeling this is going to be a very long video. So you might want to pause it and go get a cup of coffee or tea or a glass of wine. Whatever your preferred video watching beverage is. Because I just have so much stuff to go over in this video with you. But what we're going to need in the way of supplies, we'll need some Tempting Turquoise cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. We'll need Calypso Coral, 5 by 3 3/4. Some Whisper White, 5.5 by 4 1/4. We'll also need a scrap piece. I don't know how big this piece is, but if you have a piece like 2 by 3 inches or a couple of smaller ones, we'll be cutting our balloons out of these for the inside of the card. So just whatever size that your balloons will fit on. I'm using the Beautiful You stamp set, and we're only using this Celebrate stamp down the bottom. And from Cake Crazy, I'm using this It's Your Birthday stamp. We'll need a black marker of some sort. I have a Stampin' Right basic black marker here. I use some, let's see, this is 1/8 inch silver ribbon. You'll need probably about 12 inches of this. And I have my handy comb. We're going to be using that to make the bow. You can use a comb or a fork, because it's technically a fork bow, or a hair pick. All of those work good. If you know someone with small fingers, you could come and have them hold their fingers up, use their fingers for you. Okay, and then some sponge daubers, couple sponge daubers. We're using Memento black, Tuxedo black ink, Tempting Turquoise, and Calypso Coral. And then we're using these things. Now these, a company called Darice makes them, and they call them Easy Frames. Sizzix makes a product like this. It's called, they call them Embossing Diffusers under the Tim Holtz name. But I have these and decided to play. I'm using this one today. And if you don't have these, you can make your own. If you're good with a ruler and an X-Acto knife. These are about 1 millimeter thick. So I found I had some cardboard, and it's approximately a quarter of an inch. It's approximately 1 millimeter thick. If you don't have any, you have some thinner cardboard, well, you could cut out multiple copies of them and then glue them together to get that 1 mil thickness. But I'll be showing how to use this product today with I'll be using my Cuddle Bug. So let's see, I don't need any of these. I can get rid of them. And let's see, where were those things? Here they are. See, I've started playing around making my own. And I used one of my dies and I cut this out. I cut this from the thick, and it didn't go all the way through, so I had to flip it over and cut from both sides. But just messing around, I made this. And let's see. Oh dear, I made just a strip, and now I can't find my, oh, there it is right there. Say, oh, darn. Can you see that? Wait a minute. Let me get that up here. I have a new camera, so I'm getting used to where I have to hold things to show you. But you see that? I put the strip down, and it just embossed this strip from my embossing folder. And then on either side, I put 2 score lines just to separate that and emphasize it a little bit more. But so I use this and with my embossing plate, and we'll get to how to use that later. So let's get all this junk out here because I don't need any of that now. I don't think. What's that? Nope, I don't need that. And let me bring my camera back in. So let's get our white piece of our Whisper white cardstock out here, our big piece, and we'll do this first. So I chose this folder. That same company, Darice, makes it, but you can use whatever embossing folder tricks your fancy. I just like this one because it made these big, I don't know, happy looking flowers. So place your paper in, tuck it all the way to the top, and we're going to take our easy frame, and then some of my favorite craft room things is masking tape. So we're going to just tape that around here like this, just to make sure that it stays in place. We'll get our cuddle bug in here. And according to their directions on the cuddle bug, you use the base plate and the C plate and then a shim. And my shim is just like poster board or poster paper. So it's not a very big shim. I'll put that on, so we'll put that down on the base plate, put this on top, put our C plate on top of that, and we'll run this through the cuddle bug. I'm sure you could just as easily use these in any of the other embossing machines, you know, your Big Shot or whatever. I'm just not sure what the sandwich would be because I don't have one, but I'll bet you could figure that out. Okay, so we can get rid of the cuddle bug, take our sandwich apart here, and what this does is where the plastic is, it will emboss, and where the opening is, it will not emboss. So here we go. You see, so we have a nice square window here that's not embossed in the center. So we'll take this piece and bring in our Calypso Coral and our Tempting Turquoise and our sponge daubers. And then I made myself a little square mask. Put just a little tiny piece of Snail Adhesive on the back to help it stay in place. And I'm going to just put that right where my not embossed area is. And this will just keep us from going over into that area. Look at the Calypso Coral. And I like to work that in a little bit in my sponge. And by the way, these sponge daubers are by far my favorite tool for doing any of this kind of shading. So we're just going to do a swipe of color of the Calypso Coral here. And up in this corner too. Okay, and we can close up the Calypso Coral. Oh, you know what? While we had the embossing machine out, I should have told you to emboss your paper, your little scrap paper. I forgot it because I have a whoops here that I didn't put the mask on, and I ended up getting some ink in my center area. So I'm going to use that, but while you're embossing, emboss this paper also, and if you cut it, you can actually pick out some of these floral designs maybe, and use that, and you can center your little balloons over that area and have it a little bit more, oh, I don't know what you'd call it, but less random. Okay, but I'm going to use these. So anyway, moving on. Tempting Turquoise. Yeah, because you want to do your balloons now too. You want them all embossed and shaded before we're going to fussy cut them out. You want to do that before you fussy cut them. Because it's got that little bottom where the balloon would be tied, and I think if you do that afterwards, if you do this part afterwards, that you may just knock that little piece off with your sponge daubers. So this is really showing up our design nice. Okay, so now we can peel off our little mask there, and look how pretty that is. Let me wipe up some of this ink so we don't end up getting that all over the rest of our card. Let me close this up. Alright, now this is way bigger than we want it to be. We're going to be cutting off. We're going to cut off 3/8 of an inch off of each of these sides. So I need to bring in my paper cutter here. And on the Stampin' Up paper cutter, you can see there'll be the first line is 1/4 inch. So then you want to go, not the next little teeny tiny line, but then the next medium size line, and that will be 3/8 of an inch. And that's what we're going to cut off. Is that right? Yes, it's 1/4. That'd be 3/8. Yep, that's right. Huh? Didn't cut. Ooh, maybe I need a new blade. I'm thinking I might. It's been a while since I changed it. There we go. And 3/8 off each side. One side now to go. So now our paper should be 4 7/8 or 4 3/4 by 3.5. Let me just measure that to make sure. And yep, I did it correctly. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll make our balloons for the inside. Now I made myself a little pattern here to cut out my balloon, and I'll show you how to do that. I used a bottle cap as my starting point, my circle, but I'm going to do it a little bigger so that it's easier for you to see. I found this big lid, this lid here, and you just take a pen and trace your circle, and then down at the bottom of your circle, measure down a bit. I measured down about 1/4 inch for my small balloon, but since this is a big one, then obviously you're going to need more. And then I just brought that up and joined my circle from that little point that I made. And then made a little triangle down the bottom here, just like that. And that's your where your balloon is tied off. And then just cut that out and use that as your template to trace your balloon. So here's mine. I'm going to try to get that circle that's centered in my balloon circle here. You just kind of have to guess a little bit since you can't see through this. And I'll just trace around that. And then I'm going to use this section over here. So I have one that's Calypso Coral patterned, and the other one is the Tempting Turquoise. Okay. Take our little fussy cutting scissors. I think I'll trim these out so there's not so much paper to work with. You want to cut just inside your tracing line, because we don't want that showing on the card. I did pretty good lining this up. And there we go. There's our Calypso Coral balloon. And we'll cut out our Tempting Turquoise one. Now I had to do this because I don't have a balloon punch or a balloon die cut yet. I'm getting one. That'll be on my next order, I think. But with the embossing, I'm not too sure how they would work anyway. They could make a, flatten down our embossing, and then, well, I think I like it better with the embossing popped up. And on this piece, if you're good with a ruler, you can just, I drew in black border on the inside here. If you're good with a ruler, you can do that. I'm going to try that this time. On my original card, I just used a square die and traced around that. So maybe you want to do that. And I'll just use my marker. Now, keep in mind I'm using the fine point on here. If you don't have a Stampin' Right marker, you could use one of those ultra fine Sharpies. Maybe a gel, well, I don't know about a gel pen because they usually take a while to dry. There's a good chance that you would smudge it. But this is working just fine. Okay. So we have that done. Now we can use keep that handy, we're going to be using that in a little bit. Let's see, I need my It's Your Birthday stamp. Ink that up real good with our Memento Tuxedo black ink. And stamp that right in the center or as close as we can get. Hold that down for a second, let the ink transfer, and there we go. Beautiful. And we're going to keep that handy also because when we do the inside of our card, we're going to need that. So let's get the rest of our stuff here. I've got my Calypso Coral paper. Let me get my snail. And put that down. Then the next step will be putting the ribbon on here. So, get our ribbon out, cut a piece that's a little bit wider than my card. I've got about ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. And I'll put that across my card. I have that just below my box, about ½ inch down below the box. And we'll flip that over. We'll put some snail on the back here. Put that one side down. Now make sure that this is lined up properly. Okay. And there. That's stuck down now too. And we can attach this to our card base. And no, I didn't forget we're making a bow. We'll do that next. Okay. So we have about 1/8 of an inch of the Calypso Coral showing, and then about 1/4 inch of the Tempting Turquoise showing. And we'll take our ribbon and our scissors, and we'll be using 4 of the prongs. We put the ribbon across and down one of the slots. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And bring that up through that slot. And we make kind of a Z shape here. So it goes 1, 2, 3. We'll leave ourselves a bit of a tail on this side too, and just snip that off. Now, this top side, this top piece goes through that center slot. Put that right down through that center slot. Okay, so you've got your 4 prongs, you've got 1 slot, 2 slots, 3 slots. Put it through the center slot, bring it to the back, and up and back to the front. Okay, so we've got it in the back, bring it up, and back to the front. Then we're going to take our other end and tie a knot. And you want to tie that knot very tight. Give that a good tug. And we just slide that off. And we've got our perfect little bow. So just straighten these out, tails out. Now we could attach our bow down here if we wanted to. And you know what? Maybe I will on this card. I decided on the other card I'd put it up at the top here. Just for a little something different. Yeah, I'll put it down here below. So I got my Tombow glue. And I'll put a little dot of Tombow here. And put my bow in place. Now, because we're using silver, if you wanted to, you could add some more bling to the front here. And put some rhinestones or sequins, but it really doesn't need it, I don't think. I think that just the silver bows are, or the silver ribbon is just fine. Not wanting to stay. This silver ribbon is like, I don't know, like real metally. While I'm holding it, I'll trim the ends. Give them a nice little slanted point to them. Come on, stick on there. Well, it's not behaving. And this is really way too small to put a glue dot. I wonder if I could get put a little thing of snail on there and make it work. So just so it stays. Okay, that worked. That worked. The Tombow would be better though. Okay, so now we're ready to go to the inside of the card. And we have our 2 balloons. We're going to put some snail on the back of them. And position them kind of towards the top left corner of our card. And I wanted them just a little, see. So I have one pretty much straight up and down. This one's tilted a little bit. We're going to take our marker. We're going to use the very fine point on it again. We're going to draw a line just across the base of the balloon here where it would be tied off. And then I'm just going to make a squiggly line come down from my balloon. Okay, that one I got carried away with. And now we're ready to stamp our Celebrate inside the card. So we're going to bring this in, our Celebrate stamp, and again our Tuxedo black. And I had this not straight, at an angle, right here. Now this stamp has 3 dots after it. And I didn't want 3 dots after it. What I wanted is 3 exclamation points. So now I'm using the bigger end and changed my dots into exclamation points. And that's it. The card's done. So I hope you enjoyed my video. If you'd like to see more, then hit the subscribe button down below. If you'd like to shop with me, you can do that either through my website or my Facebook page. And as always, all of my materials that I've used they'll be listed down below. So, oh, I'm using a new camera, and you might have noticed I'm having a hard time on this video holding things in front of where the camera is. That's why. It's in a little bit different position than my old camera was. So, but I hope it wasn't too bad for you, and I think this one films a little clearer than my other camera did. But y'all, until the next time, y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.